Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist. I'm going with hubby.
Okay.
This is your home of burning and learning, and today we are doing light dark fur. This will make sense, I promise. So last week we started back on this bear that I started in 2017 and then touched a couple times in 2018. Now we are in 2022 and we're still working on it. So when I mean light dark fur, I'm talking about this fur right here that's getting hit by the light. It's still dark fur, but it's highlighted. So we probably should take a look at that because I've really focused on the dark fur, but in order for this to look like the sun's hitting the bear, we need the light fur too. Plus we also can see the skin because this is the cub and its fur is still trying to come in. So I will be putting that in as well. So that's what we're going to be focused on. Hey Sheila, Kathy, Burrow, Carrie, Teresa. Did I get everybody?
Did you say Sheila?
Sheila, yeah, I said Sheila.
Okay.
She was chasing her puppy dog last week. Alrighty. So I'm going to move the camera over, which means it'll hopefully be somewhat out of my face. I also have to alter and move the board around because it's kind of hard to go completely horizontal when your body doesn't want to go in that direction. So let's do that right there. This is where our light fur is. We also have, we have the light fur right here. This is pine needles coming in. So we've got the light fur that's behind it. I also have my sepia so I can see a little better on the tonal value. The details are here, the tonal values are here. So that's the purpose of the sepia. And I draw my patterns off the color because it's easier to tell what's what that way. And remember, this is on Baltic Birch. Ah! Okay, happened? Bear. You're going to sit in my lap, huh? Because I have my drawing board behind, it dropped. So, you know what? My lap will work. It's not going to be the first time I've burned sitting in my lap like this. Now, the color of the wood is changing because of the distance and whatnot to the camera. So and I'll angle it off to the side. So hopefully you can see my pen as well. And then I need to figure out what to do with my reference. So I can also see that. There we go, I think. We'll find out. That puts a shadow. See, normally if it's just me burning, I don't have to worry about all this other stuff. I'm just burning. There, I'll clip it right there. Alright. So I'm going to use the 18 extra small. I'm going to put it down at 3. Remember on birch, birch burns a little lighter versus the same temperature on basswood. So because it is hot, I'm going to start in a dark area first, just to pull some heat from my tip. And I'm flat with a little bit of angle, and I'm dragging. Now it does not have to be completely light because when I put the dark around it, it will lighten it up. Always got to remember that everything works together. So when there's a bunch of darks around it, it will lighten up a medium burn. So I'm flat, but then I'm also, it's a very, very minuscule angle of shifting to the right. And I'm intentionally leaving gaps in case there's some pine needles that are coming through, like right here in the pattern. Let's go a little closer. And I'm just angling to the side using the edge, but I'm also flat. And I'm moving quickly. So this is at 3 with the Optima 18 extra small spear shader. Remember, I don't have to put every single first stroke in. The groups going in the correct direction give us that illusion of fur. Just putting in every single piece of fur actually would kind of burn your brain. It's a lot of fur.
Yeah.
And then it starts to look a little too
Looks stringy.
harsh. Yeah, stringy. Although some animals do have fur like that, like the raccoon. And that's how you get more of that stringy fur.
Kathy has to go.
Bye, Kathy.
Bye,
Thank you for
Kathy.
coming. Is everything okay, I hope?
I think so.
Alright, so I'm angling up, dragging. Some strokes can be darker. Again, with fur, it's a little bit more forgiving.
It's forgiving.
Forgiving. And now I can put some short dark using the tip right next to it, because that is where some of these darks are at. And when I do the shorter strokes, it looks like the shorter fur. And you can see how much it's already lightened up, just having that visual comparison right next to each other. In fact, that needs to go darker. But for now, we're focusing on this light fur. I just want to show you what the having darks next to it does. It lightens it up. So it's still flat. I'm trying to get my direction right on the fur. Because the fur changes angles, it's coming down and then it changes angles. And see, by overlapping these strokes, it makes it look more realistic. Now, some of the pine needles that are hanging over are actually a little thicker. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2HB pencil and I'm just going to thicken that up a little bit. Just put a second visual line so that I know I need to go leave a little bit of a space to make it look thicker. And it's just where it overlaps the fur. Sometimes you have to alter on the board. Pull some heat out. So now I can go in between those, leaving some space.
Spence is here.
Hey, Spence. Right now they don't have to be perfect. I can always readjust once I put the pine needles in. Everybody wanted the fur, so I had to figure out what we were going to focus on. Alright. So sometimes the stroke is flat and it gives me a thicker line. Sometimes I angle it just a bit and it kind of cuts a line to the angle I'm shifting that's a little darker. Alright, so now we've got light skin in between here, and what I didn't do on the pattern, which I think will be fine, is I didn't necessarily mark out where these lighter streaks are. And since I'll be covering my reference, I'll put this over here just so I can see, because we have darker bands and we have lighter bands, and the lighter bands are where the skin is showing through. So I'll put a light band in and I'm completely flat because we don't see fur here. So I can actually just go flat. Follow the direction of what a band looks like.
Carmen is here, and so
Hey,
is
Carmen.
Robert Fisher.
Hey, Robert. Get down here where I'm at. So this looks like it's kind of dark. I mean, it doesn't look so much dark on camera. But then, when I go and I put the darker, and I'm intentionally lifting my pen for a second, and I drag for that darker swath of fur. And just go flat and drag. And then flat and drag on the other side. Look how much it lightens up. And these are also, it looks like some wrinkles in the skin. And then we've got fur that's like all over the place. It's like short fur, so I'm using the tip and I'm doing my squigglies. But then we have a lighter spot, so I'll just go flat, move quickly. The angle of my pen and how quickly I move it is even more important than the temperature it's set at. That's where you're going to get the biggest control, is how you move your pen. See, right now, it looks like a mess. That's okay. Let's see here. We can actually make all the area light. So I'm flat, and I'm going to try to move with the grain. It's less likely to leave the splotches if I move with the grain, because I can always burr the fur on top. So we'll just put some skin in. And on camera it probably looks, well, tonal-wise is about the same. But we can see now how much that's lightened up. Let me angle it better.
Carmen got in late. She wants to know where are you working on the picture.
That is right here on the light and dark of the arm and the light fur. Light dark fur, which I know is so confusing, but it's light dark fur. In fact, we have some light dark fur that's right here at the head. And that's where the highlights are. I'm not gonna, let's see if I put this on here. Hopefully not have the camera in my face. There we go. Makes it easier if I'm not holding it in my lap. So right here we have highlighted dark fur. And it goes all the way around the head. We also, so we have nothing but background right here. There's the ear. So that means I can just do shorter strokes, following the direction of the fur, which is what I've got my lines for, hopefully. Drag it out. Remember, this is longer fur, so I need longer strokes. And if I need to go back over it and darken it, that's no big deal. It's always easier to darken than it is to lighten. See right here, I can see I do have some lines for some darker fur that's coming out. It's getting lighter. And I can even bump up, I think, to 3.5. Just so I can slow down for some of these darker ones. And then very quickly for the lighter ones. I'm just checking my direction. It's kind of hard when you haven't looked in the pattern since, or the board since 2018. Fur changes directions. Like I said, this is the fur on the head. Just blocking it in. I can always reshape it. The only thing I'm really worried about is making sure I'm kind of going in the right direction. That is the biggest thing I'm paying attention to. So right here we've got a dark. Right up against, I'm using the tip. Trying to not make it like soldiers standing in a line. I do more crisscross strokes in order to overlap. There we go. That goes darker here. And we can see how much it lightens up when I have a dark right next to it. They all have to work together. Follow the directions. So the dark is a little bit darker at the tip. And there's always going to be some underneath darks. That's where negative burning comes in. I know that may sound odd, negative burning, and all it means is you're burning around an area. That's all it is. And we have some darks in here. I'll use just the tip for now. But we don't have any darks, really, unless we look at, see the background right here and the fur are pretty much the same tone. So that means we need to use the fur to differentiate between that. It looks like I got a lot more fur coming closer to the ear than I drew on the pattern. So, and draw it closer. And considering I haven't even touched this pattern since 2017. I'm guessing. So right now I am doing the short strokes, but I can connect them with longer strokes in here. And remember, I've got my board at this angle, so it's going to look weird to you guys. And then we got darks. So I'm using just the tip. Actually, the darks go all the way to the arm line. And see, that's another thing. The fur sticks out from the body, and so we have to pay attention to that line for that hair sticking out. So right now, if I flip the board, it's going to look pretty odd. See, we have some darker fur we can't see details. We just see that the fur is laying on top of the skin in no particular pattern. So for that, I'm going to go full drag, flat drag. And I tend to start at the bottom and then overlap on top. And then come back down again, and what I'm trying to do is blend out and not have anything that stands out too much. Ooh,
excuse me. Sorry about
any ears.
Yep. That was spontaneous.
But this is not perfectly smooth, so if I have a little variation, okay, you can still see. Makes it look a little bit more realistic. Well, let's see what we got. Since we've been looking at it. Sorry, I'm just knocking everything around today, aren't I? Alrighty. Why does it look so light? It shouldn't look that light. Let me adjust this real quick. I think it's because the camera's so close. Let's back it out. Ah. So we definitely need these darks underneath to make that look lighter. Now that I've backed out, I'm going to go ahead and bump up to 4.5. I'm going to put some of those darks in just so we can see that. I'm sorry, I was reading the comments going, what are they talking about? But now I like slid up the comments real quick. Now I understand.
They're talking about pins.
Huh?
They're talking about pins.
Pins. Well, no, it was something further. All right, 4.5. So down a little bit. Got to poke a little bit of it out because that's how fur is. There's always the strays hanging out. But then we also have some lighter poofs that we're going to leave where they're at. See, I should have kept my board where it was because now I'm having a hard time. I know this is hard for you guys. So, 1, 2, 3, flip. See if it's too high up there. I don't know if I can reach it.
It's pretty high.
Well, luckily my chair adjusts. So now I can drag better. Now we're going to put some darks in between these lights so things make sense. Yeah, I may have to bump my chair up a little bit. I don't get real tall now, just to make things easier for my back. There we go. Now look how little you look. Look at the...
Tiny. Hey. Hey.
This is what perspective is. Whatever's closer to the camera is bigger than what's behind them.
Or I'm a hobbit.
Or you're a hobbit. Well, your feet aren't furry. Alright. Moving closer. And this is why I like my adjustable chair. Now I see how much this has gone darker, so what I'm going to do is quickly go flat, just darken up this for a little bit more. I swear those children. Move our overlap, curl in the opposite direction a little bit, just to give it a better feeling. We need things that overlap each other, strokes that overlap. See, in here, this is much lighter fur. It's also further from the camera, so it's less in focus. I can kind of blend it in. some darks. And here. And then it starts getting darker and darker as we go down. And since we have some darks, we have some lights right here, so why don't we put it next to the dark so we can see better. And this is really fuzzy fur right here because this is a baby. Oh, sorry, hand itch. Hand itch. So it's going to be more groups to make it softer with some more prominent hairs that you can see. Alright, so we got some darks that overlap. And putting in the darks tends to help shape it better, faster. See, like this is really dark right in here. But for now, I'm just going to block it in.
Nathan is here.
Hi, Nathan.
Says, I really enjoy your channel. I have watched all of your videos.
Oh, thank you.
Aspire to get good at portraits. If I can get good enough to sell, I will send some money your way. Well, you know, rather than do that, just become a toasty. You know.
But I honestly want you to focus on your art and improving first.
Yep.
I know you'll improve faster if you're not thinking about other things like selling too soon and prices and where to put it, the whole marketing thing. If you just focus on improving your burning, you'll improve faster. And I mean, I understand with the way the economy is and how it's been going. Everybody, they need that extra money, but you'll actually improve quicker and be able to make money sooner if you focus on improving it the way you want to.
Well said.
Huh?
I said well said.
Yeah. It's not that I don't want anybody to sell or I see it as competition or anything like that. It's just things get in our head and we become more focused on selling versus improving. And it shows in our work. And if you're not happy with your work when you start selling, as you improve, granted it tends to be a little slower unless you're doing like quantity over quality, and then it doesn't change a whole lot. But when you do improve and you look back at that older work and go, ooh, I sold that? Should I really? Because now it's out in the world. I mean, gifts are fine. I think gifts are great. But I think we start thinking about selling sooner versus taking care of ourselves.
True. Connecting
with our pen, with our wood, figuring out the subjects we really love doing. And this is nothing about your art, Nathan, because I haven't seen it. So this it's nothing personal. This is just a general. Haven't talked about selling in a long time. And I have to say it can be frustrating when you have improved and you're happy with the way you're going. And you can really see that growth in your art. And if you sold something for 20 early on and then you sold something for 50 later, people are going to wonder, people who have bought your art before, maybe they want to buy again, they want you to justify why you've raised the price. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, well, I've gotten better. And part of pricing your art is also pricing you. And your reputation, how much somebody's willing to pay for a piece of art. I mean, I'm in a position that if I don't want to sell to somebody, I don't have to. And if somebody's like, well, your prices are too high, I don't have to entertain that.
Yep. But
when you're just starting out and you're trying to sell, people can convince you to lower your art price. And in that, you're devaluing yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you want to focus on improving before going the selling route. Now that is really dark right there, but if I put some other darks around it, again, I totally understand with the way the world is right now. And I have been there, and I have done that. It was a long time ago. You know, it was the difference between feeding my kids and being homeless or not.
Yep.
So I understand. If that's what a predicament somebody is. I mean, it's hard to admit when you've been homeless. Granted, I lived in a garage in Phoenix. And all you're doing is trying to get your hustle on because you've got bills to pay and kids to feed and whatnot. Can't believe I said it out loud, though. I've been homeless. I've been... I'm trying to think of the right word where YouTube won't hit me for it. Where I wanted things to end. That had more to do with pain than money, but money didn't help the situation, or lack of. Hey, Andrea. So did I just shut everybody down?
You had an impaired sense of self-preservation.
Yes. Yes, I did. And burning and my kids helped save me.
But not burning your kids.
Not burning the kids.
Okay.
Literally. Not literally.
Yeah, I've been homeless as well, and now I dress like it.
Both do.
Carmen says she's donated pretty much all of her bear pyrography to a bear wildlife society as a fundraiser.
And I can see Carmen's growth because she's focusing on donating them and moving on to the next one and growing and improving versus I don't care if this looks like crap. I need the money, so I'm selling it. You know? And then, what I was going to say about it doesn't make me jealous or anything like that. When people newer to burning, like under, 2-3 years, and they're selling an 8x10 for $50, and I'm selling it for over $300. I don't know the exact number right now. That's why I just said that. People may look at both of our art side by side and they can see the difference as to why it's priced differently. But let's face it, most of us are on some way cheap and we're going to go with the cheaper price.
Yep.
Even if it doesn't look as good. So when you improve and you can demand those higher prices, you're less likely to get them because the market, especially in some locations, I know in the UK they have a really hard time selling art over there, showing burning. But the minute people start seeing a much cheaper price, they equate that to all of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the laser burnings. Those don't help at all with the market. So on some level, I know what I'm saying. I'm going to get thumbs down for this. I probably already have. Because people are going to do what they're going to do. This is just my opinion, my thoughts on the matter.
Yep.
You spend that time improving, you'll improve faster. You'll be able to make more money.
I would say too that if you
Trying to get these fuzzy strokes. I'm sorry, real quick. I'm flat and dragging quick to get them fuzzy. Go ahead.
I think that a lot of artists, and I was guilty of this too, it's like once you start doing better, like usually once you have a leap in your quality and you're like, man, my art's so much better, then you start to thinking about selling it. And that's what I did, you know. And I have to say, like, regardless of pricing, you know, like looking back at some of that earlier work, I regret putting it out into the world.
Yes, there are pieces that I'm trying to pull off of my custom-made page still because I can't remove them. But they've been up there for 12 years. They have to remove it for me. But I'm embarrassed to have them on there.
Right.
I mean, I cringe when I see them, and I try to hide them as much as I can with newer work because I can't. I'm mortified when I look at them. Not that I'm mortified in what I did. I'm proud of what I did. But with the growth since I posted them, it's embarrassing because I don't want people thinking that's the quality of work I do now versus what I did then.
Right.
I'm not ashamed of them. They got me to where I am now.
Well,
so I can't hate on them.
Nathan says, that's great advice. I really enjoy pyrography. I'm not looking to make tons of money, but I'm trying to return on it, an investment in equipment.
Oh, I totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yep, I totally understand that. Luckily, with wood burning, it's unlike, say, acrylics. Acrylics are cheaper in general, but you have to replace them more often.
Yep.
Versus a wood burning kit, if you get a good one, then you're not replacing all the time, which allows you to save money and buy better wood, or maybe get a subscription. Like we have a subscription to Envato, so there's hundreds of thousands of, I'm switching pins real quick, hundreds of thousands of references that I can use for anything. Mm-hmm. But that costs us $32 a month to have that.
Yep.
So I'm not buying new pins, but I'm paying for references.
Yeah.
So,
and that's a really great resource too.
It is a great resource. Yep. It's got fonts and everything. Graphics. I've switched over to the 18 small.
You know, Spence, I agree. Spence
I'm going to bump up to 6.
Spence says, I don't like laser burning. It's not art. So I would have no problem if somebody who is doing a laser, burning or laser cut or whatever, if they created a piece of art from scratch, and then
some of them do that,
and then they burned it, because then you at least have your own creativity in the process. What I take issue with is when somebody takes an image and laser burns it, and
claims it's wood burning,
sort of passes it off as, hey, I did this, look at me, I'm so talented, like laser burning has its applications for sure, like I would say sign work or anything like that, and if you're going to do that, if you're going to do something like that, then I do think if you're going to take an image and somebody's like, hey, I want my wedding photo, and can you transfer it via laser, that's fine, but be clear about it, because that's what it is. It's a photographic process. It's a mechanical transcription of something
reproduction
else. So, but be clear about it, because I do take issue with people who are like, hey, look at this portrait I did, and it's perfect. And
oh no, you can tell when they're laser.
You can, but the problem is that not everybody can tell.
Yes, that's
and
true.
it damages the community, in my opinion.
That's why they're not allowed in my group.
Because you're competing with other people who are putting, you know, potentially hundreds of hours into portraits, you know, and you're competing, you know, with something that you banged out, you know, by pushing a button. And I know it's more complicated than that. And I'm not trying to hate.
And it's an expensive setup.
You know, but there is a disconnect there with the perception and how the public sees it. And so what happens is that somebody who's researching pyrography, you know, they come across the gallery, you know, all kinds of different pyrography stuff, and they're like, oh man, that's amazing. You know, that looks just like a photograph, you know, because it is. But they're not charging as much. And so when they go to the artist, and their artist wants, you know, several $100s for a portrait, or more.
I'm about to say, I'm not going to tell you what I charge for that 12 by 16
right.
portrait.
Then they think that artist is crazy because, like, well, I can go over here to this person and get, you know, a beautiful, you know, pyrography piece of, you know, my wedding photo.
Reproduction.
And it only costs me, you know, $50. You know, so you're crazy. I'm not going to buy it from you. And that's kind of what happens. So it's a little deceptive, but I understand that people may want that. It comes down to people's, you know, how much they're willing to spend too, you know, for the process and what they want involved in the process. Some people just want a reproduction, and that's fine. But just be clear about it, you know. If you want to support an artist, you know, who's doing original work, then yeah, it's going to cost you more. And that has to be okay too.
Yep. Alrighty, so I just went back over it with the 18 small, and I'm bumped up to 6. I'm 6.5 is 10. Oops, I'm just going to knock it around again. But I wanted you to see how I softened up the fur and how some things are now looking more light versus the dark. Let me zoom that in. There we go. Now I have the pine needles sticking out, so that's why we've got the lines here of the overlapping. I will continue. See, it looks a little sharper on camera than it actually is on the board. Let me see if I can cut down. Because it's a little smoother, a little softer. I can't tell. I got lights in my eyes. I can't tell. Hopefully that's a little softer. But we do have a bit of a red pen, which I always tell you guys not to use. As soon as I touch down and start dragging, it's going to pull that heat and cool that tip off. It's when you're constantly burning with a red tip that you cause issues.
So Spence says exactly, and he says, oh yeah, that's looking good, Val. Carrie has a question. Says, as you know, I'm a total beginner, and if I was going to buy an Optima machine, which one would you buy, and also the different tips? Thank you.
Well, there's only two. There's the single and the dual. Price-wise, you're looking at a dual with a fixed pin, or 2 fixed pins and 2 cords is $157. The pins went up $2 each, so that's why I'm like, yeah. So that's $4 more. $157, I believe. The single is 1 pin, 1 cord for $111. Pin wise, depends on how many pins you want. I would say the 18 extra small and small. The 9M. So now you're paying for 2 pins there if you get the single, or 1 pin. What did I do?
Do you remember the thing that happened to you last week? I gotta go. I'll be right back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm putting in the light for around the head. Crisscross. I think you'd be fine with the single. I don't think the dual. I love my duals. the dual is less necessary with the Optima because you're just switching out the whole pin versus having to switch a tip. So I think you could go with the single, no problem. The pin-wise, the 18 extra small, the 18 small, the 9M. I'm trying to think about what I've seen you burn. 9M. I think you could start with those three, actually. And really get a lot of work done. So right now I'm going to take this. I turned down to 5. I was moving really quickly. And we can see it looks like little cylinder standing there. I'm going to bump it up to 5.5. And I'm going to cross over it to kind of blend them. X's. Do those X's. Break up this line so it's not so obvious. It's not that I messed up, it's just sometimes our brain starts just going with the flow. And in order to break that up, break that flow up, make smaller strokes, do some crisscross, and we lose that pattern. And I'm just using the tip, and I'm moving very quickly. And trying to blend down into this darker shadow line that I've already got. The 17SR, it's a good pin. I tested the pin. In fact, it's a redesign based on my request. But I don't use it that much. It's great for fur. I mean, I can switch over. In fact, the lines on this part of the bear are from the 17SR and 17. So that's the 17SR. It's a V-cut tip, meaning there's a V. So thinner in the middle, thicker on the edges. And I just got so used to using, am I even on camera? I realize I turned it. There we go. Let me find. So this one, I'm going to look for something that's a little more pokey. That way, let's see here, what do we got left? You have to be careful with this pen. This one will do more lines. So if you're looking to do lines, that would be great. I can blend those in, that's why I'm not worried about the stroke. But this is more the type of line that and it's going to always be hotter where you touch down. So for thinner fur, it can work, but for like standard fur, I prefer the 18 small. And that's what I've been using right here is the 18 small. The 18 small? Yep, 18 small. So now I need to blend that in. So I will go a little flat and more to the edge, and I can blend those lines in. But fur wise, yeah, I like this pen much better. Now when I first started using a wire tip, I used the nib burner version of this one for fur, which is a 17R, or 17. And I used it for many, many years. Although I'm trying to think of the right word. I inadvertently, that's the word, adjusted that tip by using sandpaper to clean it. So it's not exactly the same as the Optima tip. In fact, I went looking for a new tip like that. And that's how I found the Optima. So, looking pretty streaky. And I just realized I wasn't even on camera. And this is why hubcap is necessary. So let me turn the board and I will grab that pen again. And turn it down to 5 so it's not so hot. I like the spoon shader. I like the spoon shader the best for dark backgrounds. Blending them in. That's what I like. Alright, so this tip, make sure I'm on camera this time, makes it it makes it more stiff, usable for whiskers, and more, like, I think this might be good for porcupine quills. Whiskers, dark whiskers. So you can see the difference in the... I might use this as a final detail once I have like all the fur in. I might use this to push out some thinner fur like this. That is probably the biggest way that I use this pen, is to push out more of the flyaway single fur or hairs. I have a little easier time controlling the curve. It would be good for just plain straight lines, which I don't really have anything on here to show that with. But trying to overlap this one is a little harder. We get more grass. This is great for grass. It'd be great for grass. Now we can see the difference in the strokes. I'm going to push the camera in real far. You can see the difference in those strokes. Kind of. I softened it up too much. Maybe. I think I might have softened it.
I'm sorry. Apparently you were off camera while I was gone.
Yeah, I found that out. And I told him that is what you're for.
I know.
That is your job.
I try.
That is your job. Readjust this. So I switched back over to the 18 small because I'm going to have to blend these in.
Okay, I apologize.
You see, now I'm blending them in.
I'll be back.
Oh, well, what time is it? Oh, I guess we can start wrapping up. Do you want to say bye to them before you leave?
Bye, everybody. Sorry.
Things happen.
Yeah.
See, now I can blend them in. And mainly the blend is darkening up around the base of where it's darker. And smoothing it out. You see, I may be a little dark right here, but I'm not gonna worry about it. See, the beauty of taking a photo and burning it is you can change it. Like, I can go a little softer with the shadow if I wanted to on the face. It doesn't have to be as harsh as the one in the photo. That's when it becomes an artistic choice versus just doing what we're seeing. So I can change that fur pattern up a little bit right there, and it'll be fine. It's dark right there, which means I'm just going to darken it up the arm. Feathers, yes, the 17 SR would be good for thinner, more defined feathers. Let's see here. Alright. So, I really need to get some pine needles in so I can see where I'm going. So I think next week will be the pine needles. And the reason we're back on the bear is because I've got World Pyrography Month going on. In fact, this is week 2. So I don't really want to start a new burning when I've got so many going. So that's why we're going back and looking at. Let's see how many I can get finished. Yeah, I'm going to have to go real dark right here to blend and smooth out this for a little bit. I can have a little bit of it sticking out, but I think I want it a little smoother. Drag some of this dark out into the light so it reads like it. See, I'm trying to angle my shoulders like almost up to my ear as I try to. I'm flat and dragging. And I'm dragging over shoulder, and I'm at 6. So I'll just have to keep building this up to get it the way I want it. No big deal. And it's just a matter of going back and forth. So I'm going to go flat. Put some darker ones in here. And it is actually darker right here. So again, flat and X's to get that fur texture. Look at that. Starting to get the side of his face. Let's see here. What am I doing? My shoe is falling off. Alright, let's look at any final. Oh, turn that light out of my face. Questions. Alright, Carmen's talking about the tip she uses on the razor tip. Let's see here. Why? Trying to figure out why it's so angled. So we can back it out and see what it's looking like. When the chair is high, it's harder to push out. Let's bend it down. See, right now it looks kind of cloudy. Why is it looking cloudy? Don't know why. Don't know why it's looking cloudy, but that's not what it looks like in real life. I don't know what's doing that. Now would be the time. Granted, I tend to do it after the live, but I would just do it. Thank you. Take my camera, take my camera and take a photo, but the camera's in the way. So we're gonna bump it down just for a second so I can get a clear photo. Don't mind the mess. Alright. So we can see that it's actually darker than what it looks like on camera. Yeah, it's a mess. Don't look at my mess. Alrighty. I will try to work on this more. I am judging a very big competition here in Flagstaff. So, And I'm still working on New Year's surprises for the Super Toasties. There we go. And World Pyrography Month. Which I've gotten her in, I guess, for last week. Things will need to be darkened, but I haven't decided what's what yet. I need to put the ferret in, and then week 2, which starts today, I believe, is either the red panda and the ukulele, or the anteater and the drums. I think it's our drama king back here, the red panda, with his ukulele. So that's 2 this week, 2 the following week, and 2 the last of the weeks. So that is where I'm at on World Pyrography Month. So I need my ferret in, the other wing, and just to darken some things up. Oh, I gotta put the flower in. The flower, it's part of her. It's the way I did it. So I need to get the flower done, and I will adjust later. So do we have any more questions? Thanks, Spence. Thank you, Carrie. You know what to say with me? You know you want to. I know you talk to your monitor every time we do this. So say it with me. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a pyro artist. Don't forget to hit like, and if you're new, hit subscribe. Happy burning, guys. Bye.